And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is Charles Gates Jr., and we're talking about his book, Darkness Before the Dawn. And I love how he says, God uses people where they are. It doesn't matter what your situation is. God can still use you. And he's sharing his story about his personal journey, and God is definitely using him to shine a light. And I love it. Now, Charles, the next question I have for you is, we were just talking about how you felt, when you held that finished, published book in your hands, and it is an amazing feeling. That is so true. The next question I want to ask you is about how does your audience, how do the readers express themselves to you when you're able to either get an email from them or they stop and talk to you? What kind of feedback are you getting about your book?
Well, a lot of my readers were really impacted by my book of poetry, so much so that my cousins wouldn't let me go to their house without it, that they would have me recite it in the living rooms, and I was really proud of myself. And there was a fan one time that came up to me at work, and she started crying, bawling, telling me that she felt like she was a part of my story, that she's seen her story in my story, and that how deeply it impacted her. And I was really touched by that. That moment, I knew I wanted to do this for the rest of my life.
I tell you, it is so amazing how God is able to present to us so many times something that we didn't even know that we wanted to do. When we look back, 10 years ago, it's like, did you ever think you were going to do this? Like, absolutely not. But yet, once you're in it, you understand that this is exactly what you were supposed to do. And it's amazing how God just presents the opportunity to us. I love it. Now, for anyone who picks up a copy of your book, Darkness Before the Dawn, what do you hope your readers take away from your poetry?
No matter where you are, there is hope for you. No matter what it looks like, there is a way, an avenue set before you to make it out of the situation you're in. And there is a voice that is rising up in you to speak on and testify of your own story. And there's no dream too far out of reach for you to achieve if you can believe powerfully enough in your dream.
I love that. Now, when you get a copy of the book, do you suggest that people read it from cover to cover, like from start to finish, or are they able to just kind of pick it up and start reading any place? Can they pick a page that interests them? What's your suggestion?
My suggestion is to read it from cover to cover. Each poem does work of their own, but if you read from cover to cover, it actually flows together like a story. So really, it's the whole book is one epic poem, and it's a saga of journey. And if you read from cover to cover, it really empowers you even more.
I love that. So it takes you along the path. It takes you on the journey if you read page after page as opposed to just kind of open it up and starting randomly. I love that. Thank you. Because I think for so many people, they think that poetry, that each one is going to stand alone. So I'm so glad that I asked that question, because someone may have read it out of turn and may not have gotten as powerful an impact as what you intended. Now, I know that so many times when I ask this question and I ask someone to choose their favorite, they tend to answer many times like a parent would and say, oh no, each poem is my baby and I don't have a favorite child. And it's like, I do understand. But so many times there is one that perhaps you felt a little bit more impassioned to write, or there was one that really spoke to your heart and you wanted to make sure that you shared that with the readers. Do you have a favorite poem, or do you have one that you feel really speaks to readers more often than another?
Yes, Dr. Angela. There's the poem Dark Lonely Road really enlightens the reader about where I was mentally, physically, and spiritually in my journey. And it just so happens I have the poem right here if you are interested, if my my listeners are interested in listening to it.
If you don't mind sharing, we'd love to hear. Yes, please.
The poem is called Dark Lonely Road, and I pray it enlightens you. Only a fool believes a friend when they say they'll bleed for them and be there until the very end, beaten, abused, betrayed, and left for dead, walking astray in the wasteland of my own filth, fighting to live another day, finding strength in my will to find an alternative way to heal the wounds I conceal and learn to live from my mistakes. I run when others yield, doing whatever it takes to battle through life's battlefield. Without sight, I learn to fight. My spirit can never be killed. I am the entity of the light that lights my way. To rest assured of my restless nights and pray to give me clarity to put an end to this endless fight. I walk through the darkest of sorrows among the demons of the shadows without a promise of tomorrow. In this sorrow, I refuse to wallow. My heart is what I follow, and I must repair my hollow heart. I will show no fear as it falls apart. I will stand bold as I play my part. I walk a lonely road, guided by the dying stars. This road is paved in gold, but this road is dark. I'm walking it alone, because life is hard, and I've always been on my own. But I've come too far to allow your words to break my bones. Swing your fist, cast your stones. My mental walls remain thick. My mind is not an empty home. Verbal threats remain empty. My wisdom has grown, so they will never break me, though I'm broken already. I will exceed my expectations. I will forever be outspoken. You're only an hallucination. Were you ever really there? Scratch that. I don't need your explanations. I pulled the knife from my own back. This wound bled tears that were dried when they hit the road. The pain has cleared. My heart has sown. I don't need you here. I walk alone down a road paved in fool's gold, but I no longer care that I'm on my own, because I've created a dream out of nightmares. And if one thing is clear, it's that I have found clarity for the mask that I wear. I'd rather be alone for all eternity than to believe the end is near, because a friend became an enemy when my prayers were left unanswered. I will need you to walk alongside of me, to know where this road may lead, because when I'm left to face my darkest hour, even my shadow fears to walk beside me.
And you said the title of that was Dark, Lonely Road. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Wow. You can feel the passion as you read it there. And it does take you on a journey. It really, really does. Now, for someone who says that poem really, it speaks to me. That's me, Charles. What do you have to say to that person? Do you have any words to encourage the person who says, "Yep, that's where I am right now"?
You are not alone. It may feel like you're oppressed and swords are aimed at you on every side. It may seem like your closest friends just abandoned you, or your mother and father walked out on you, or whatever it is that the abandonment you feel. There is a God of comfort who is a father to the fatherless, as he was me. And even though you don't always see him or feel him near, he is right there walking by your side. And when you cry, he cries with you. You cry on his shoulder. And he listens to you as you vent to him. And he grieves with you. And it won't be like that forever.
Such a beautiful sentiment. It won't be like that forever. What a beautiful way to wrap up this particular part of the interview. Now, it is time for us to take a short break. Before we go, can you remind everyone what is the title of this book? Where can we get a copy, and how do we stay in contact with you?
Darkness Before the Dawn. You can find me on my website, charlesgatesjr.com. And you may contact me through the email service I have on my website, or you can look me up on Facebook, facebook.com/charlesgatesjr.
I love it. Alrighty, listeners. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.